Hello, human peoples. You're listening to the podcast network of Gamefully Unemployed. To support us and gain access to great exclusive podcasts like Fox Mulder is a Maniac, Tom and Jeff Watch Batman, Star Trek The Next Futurama, and our latest show, Spiel Boys, head over to patreon.com/gamefullyunemployed. We do game streaming, movie nights with our patrons every Friday night, and you can even commission your own podcast about anything you want. Literally anything, within reason, and we have to do it. You are quite frankly out of excuses not to go visit patreon.com/gamefullyunemployed. That's patreon.com/GAMEFULLY unemployed, which is spelled like it sounds.
Hypecast mit Tom Reimann und David Bell.
We should probably do there's an intro, right?
I think there's an intro. Has there ever been a podcast that just picks up where people are just talking?
Oh, that's an amazing idea. You should write that down.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, man, we're revolutionizing right here. Hi, everybody. Welcome to a brand new episode of Hypecast, the show where we get hyped about stuff and things. I'm one of the hosts, David Bell.
I am the other guest host today, Logan Trent.
Hi, Logan. How are you doing?
Hot.
Yeah.
Freaking hot. Yeah.
Is it? Yeah, it cooled down here. I actually have no AC on. I had the window open and I got chilly. So it was 110 last week and now it's 60. And I'll take it.
So what you're trying to say is the climate is changing.
It seems that way. Something's happening there, but yeah. But thank you for being on. Thank you for being the co-host.
No, I know that Tom has had some very difficult contract negotiations with you, and you're just keeping a firm line.
Yeah,
and he's just trying to hold out for all of those podcast bucks.
Tom's on strike, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that technically makes me a scab, but,
That's fine.
So
there's no unions. Yeah. It's podcasting, baby. I guess
you can't see it right now, but Dave is literally lighting a cigar with a $1,000 bill, not even a $100 bill. So yeah.
Hard to get these, but yeah, there's no other way to light a cigar.
Mm-hmm. Just tastes better.
Yeah. Oh God, yeah. Well, I mean, for people wondering, Tom should be back in October. That's the rough estimate. Babies. I mean,
he's on the IR with a baby.
Yeah. But yeah, so thank you so much. Logan, do you have anything at the start of this to tell people, to plug anything you want to say to the world? And the world is listening. They're all listening.
Like to plug a WNBA podcast that I co-host with our friend Adam Todd Brown called WNB Yay! It should be wherever you find podcasts or on the You Don't Even Like Patreon. So yeah, give us a listen. It's pretty fun. It drops every other week. Also, and I'll probably do this again, but going to plug the concept of not committing genocide. Just, we had a lot of problems with that this week. Oh, buddy.
Don't do genocide. Don't do terrorism.
War crimes.
Yeah, war crimes. None of those. No. Don't do it.
Yeah.
Don't do it.
Yeah, hopefully we get through this entire episode without committing those, but no guarantees.
No guarantees, as we say on this show. There's no guarantees we won't commit a war crime during this show.
Look out, Uruguay.
Well, shit. You like movies?
Yeah, I've heard they're back.
No. I guess. I don't know.
Kinda.
We're going to have an interesting, I really like this lineup. We're getting into spooky months. So we're going to get a lot of spooky things, but not exclusively spooky things. But first we got to thank some patrons, some wonderful supporters who made this show possible. Big old thank you to @NerdNumbers. Thank you very much. Thank you to Zero Charisma. Thank you to 2001 A Space McNulty Odyssey.
Thank you.
Thank you to A Turd Curdling Jump Scare. Thank you to Aaron Burser. Thank you to AJ. Thank you to Andrew. Logan deserves more hype, McGuire.
Yes.
Woo! Thank you to Andrew. How demands a single act of kindness.
Let me hop in.
Yeah.
Thank you, Asking Seven.
Thank you.
Thank you to Ballet Karate Hulk.
Thank you.
Thank you to BLT22EWHVIS-B exclamation point.
Thank you.
Thank you to Bootlerson.
Thank you.
Bootlesson.
Bootlesson,
Yes.
Bootleson, I think. Everybody says it differently.
Yeah. Thank you to Brian Who Tom's Knows.
Thank you.
Thank you to Brockway Loves the Meat Millie.
Mm-hmm.
Burrito says water, gym, sunscreen, kung fu, ska, self-care.
Thank you.
And thank you to Chester's Prophet.
Thank you. All right. It's time to
Peace
talk.
be with him.
Yes. It's time to talk about movies. I think this was last week. They dropped the Mickey 17, which was a movie I had been hearing about for a while because it got pushed.
Yeah, it was supposed to drop in March.
This is Bong Joon-ho's newest movie. He kind of blew up thanks to Parasite, but he'd been around for a while. He did them Snowpiercers. He did The Host. He did Okja. This has Robert Pattinson doing a voice, as Robert Pattinson does. It's about him being like a space clone. It's kind of Moon, right? It's just
it's Moon from the guy who did Parasite.
Yeah,
like it's exactly what you would want from that.
It's bigger budget Moon. It's this idea that he's like a type of laborer in space that is expendable, and they just clone him every time he dies. And it seems like he retains his memories, so he knows what it's like to die. His name, Mickey 17, it means he's the 17th version. And then, much like Moon, there's a second one of him. And that's like, I think the inciting incident, the idea that you can't have two of the same person. It's like illegal. Like Moon, it's a thing on space labor, which I feel like is...
Yeah, it's from a person with a darker sense of humor and a bigger weirdo than Sam Rockwell and Robert Pattinson.
Yeah. They're both kind of weirdos. Yeah. I mean,
we had this thing on movie night. Like, I don't know how we created this, but we came up with like the movie The Creepos or something.
Yeah.
So someone just keeps adding creepy actors to it, and I think it's like 20 actors long, and it's just weirdo Tom Hardy, weirdo Robert Pattinson. This is another character who would be on that poster.
Oh, he's like, a creepo.
Yeah, absolute creepo.
Oh, yeah. It yeah, I mean, ever since like, I don't know, I mean, Moon came a while ago, but it is I mean, like Jeff Bezos was talking about how he's going to put labor into space. Like that is what will happen. Like space travel will be something for the very rich, and then all of a sudden something for the very poor, it feels like, where people will have to live in space who can't afford to live on Earth.
It's absolutely sad that the sci-fi future that we're getting is the fucking crew of the Nostromo is probably what's going to happen.
But it's funny because I think because like I think of Elysium where they're like the rich people would live in space. And I'm like, no. The rich people will live on Earth. They'll kick everybody else out. That's what's going to happen. And so this is like, yeah, it feels like that's all to say that, you know, Parasite was obviously about classism and
a lot of his stuff has touches upon Snowpiercer, yeah.
This feels like it's like a mush of every, because he always says Okja also has a message. This feels more whimsical, like Okja, more weird. And I just wonder, like, I think most people know him from Parasite and maybe Snowpiercer. I mean, Snowpiercer is weird, actually. Because I was going to say, like, are people ready for his weirdness?
This is weird, but I think this is probably, like, he puts a little comedy in everything he does, but this seems the most overtly funny. It's like, just based off of the trailer. Because, like, somebody tweeted today, they were talking about Memories of Murder, right? And they were pointing out how there's a hilarious through line where detectives will just drop kick a suspect numerous times in that movie, and it's like there's funny shit in his things, but this just seems to have a lot of jokes. And I don't know if I'm thinking that whoever cut the trailer or something just saw how Fallout was handling it with the show, because there's a lot of Fallout vibes in terms of how they're presenting the trailer.
Yeah.
So
it's dark, but like he's like riding Star Wars monsters in this.
Yeah.
They're treating it like every time he dies is like, and that's sort of the point, is he's expendable, so no one cares. I like the moment where they're like, they're gonna dump him, and they're like, hey, he's not dead, and he's like, that's fine.
Yeah,
and
like it's just more of a nuisance than anything.
Yeah. And like, I think the point is like, yeah, about the psychology of this guy just feeling more and more expendable, where he's like, he doesn't even value his own life. And I assume it's going to be about him learning to value his life, because he's been told his whole life, like, you're not special, you know, you're extremely expendable. So I assume it'll have like, again, Okja vibes, where it's going to be like weird and like over the top performances, but also probably really fucking dark, you know?
This feels like his big swing with like, I'm going to get a lot of money, but I'm going to make fun of the whole idea of capitalism in the future, because that just kind of like that bounces off of what he did with Parasite. So
this is definitely the most money, right? Like, you look at Snowpiercer and you're like, that feels like a big movie, but it takes place on a train for a reason. And then Parasite is pretty grounded. Okja is probably, you know, that had big CGI animals, so
yeah. But like in terms of casting and stuff, like you're getting Pattinson, you're getting Ruffalo. I love
Ruffles is in this. He's the bad guy.
I love when Toni Collette shows up and you're like, oh, of course Toni Collette would fucking be in this.
Oh, yeah.
It just makes perfect sense.
Everybody's getting in on this, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, there was some rumors a couple months back that this was getting delayed because there were like arguments over him getting final cut, but he came out and said that that was BS, and that WB has actually been kind of supportive in terms of like his vision, which, you know, with Zaslav, you can always be a little bit worried about.
I know, it's always a little scary when you hear this is under WB. I mean,
this is coming out in January, so I'm a little curious, that's just them dumping it, or they're not trusting it, so who knows?
I keep getting these vibes of movies getting made that the studio don't pay attention to, and then they watch and they go like, well, we didn't want this. And like, that's how I felt like what happened with Borderlands, is like he made this violent movie and then they're like, wait, it's violent? And I'm speculating there completely, but like, this is another one where I wonder if they watch it and they're like, wait, they're making fun of us, the rich people.
Yeah.
But I think even the rich studio people know that making fun of rich people and talking about how they suck makes them a lot of money. Like, it sells, so they I don't know. It might be a really boring reason it got delayed, you know? It might just be we looked at our schedule, it was too cluttered.
From what he said, like, he didn't even turn in the final edit till November, so it might have just been him taking a little longer.
Yeah.
Or that, like, it might just be something as simple as that. Who knows? Also, like we mentioned, this is a huge budget, so there could be, like, CG issues or God knows.
Yeah. You'd think they're going for awards because obviously Parasite, but January, you said it's coming on January and they pushed it. To me, like, that means it's like going to be like a year before this would go for an Oscar. And so, like, award things come out like November, October, December area.
Yeah. Do you think they might do like I don't know, like Christmas showing in New York or LA just to qualify or something? Because they've done that before with some things like Oscar bait movies.
That would make the most sense.
Yeah.
Because I think that's how you do it, right? Is like you have it technically come out the year before and then have people see it January, February, so that when the Oscars rolls around, it's still very fresh in everybody's minds.
Also, like, you have your fucking Batman in it. Like, I don't see them undercutting the movie that's going to lead up to their next huge franchise movie with that. Like,
it's hard to think WB, even as clueless as they are, was like nervous about this. Like, it feels way more likely that there's a very innocent reason it was pushed. Things get pushed all the damn time, you know. So
yeah. I'm going to choose to trust the director of the film with what he says rather than rando rumor guy on Twitter and stuff starting up shit. So
this looks great. Is really it. I'm very excited for this. It looks like it's going to be a lot of fun and very nihilistic and very weird. and it probably won't have like his movies don't tend to have like it's I like this kind of genre where the message itself isn't like profound. Like Jordan Peele does this a lot, where the message, at least from where I'm sitting, I'm like, yeah, I know, but it's the way they tell it where I'm like, oh, that's a really cool way to show that. This feels very on the nose, but it's still.
It's telling it in a different way than just, this bad. Like, it's more entertaining, and it's probably going to hit, like, it specifically with you, just because you're so into that type of world with, like, your work on Some More News and stuff like that. Like, maybe this hits somebody who just is kind of a dummy when it comes to that, or really doesn't care that much about learning that. Right. So, like, yeah, it's presenting it in a more interesting way than just bad. So yeah,
it does feel like, I know it borrowed a lot from Moon, but it does feel like an evolution where just from this trailer, it seems to be about what that does to a person psychologically. Like Moon is kind of like, the reveal is like, he's a disposable guy. Isn't that fucked up? And that's sort of it. Whereas this is like, what does it do to you to be told that you are disposable and you'll never go anywhere, and you'll never go past a certain point.
Especially if you strip away like the fantastical stuff, like the cloning and even just like the space things. Like if you put it down, like it's just basically kind of the same story that just like, if you've worked retail, you've had this feeling before of just being like at the whims of a giant corporation and just no one giving a shit if you, like, how many times have we heard, what was that horrible story? This was in an office, not a retail job, but that woman like died on a Friday and no one checked her cubicle until like a Monday and found out she was dead. Like, so yeah, there's real world shit in there, but it's just, like we said, it's in a fantastical presentation because he knows how to hit that mark really, really well. So this is one of those movies where I'm probably not going to watch any more trailers, and I'm just going to wait till it comes out.
Oh, yeah.
I trust everybody involved.
Yeah. Well, speaking of things that got delayed, this is a little more fishy because this got delayed so many times. It was originally scheduled for 2022. And then we've only seen this trailer, I think, because Stephen King tweeted like, hey, what's going on with that? This is the trailer for Salem's Lot, which is limping out on HBO Max. Also a WB thing. This could have gone either way in my head, where I was like, maybe it got delayed because it's really fucked up. It also had like, so apparently it was like COVID stuff. It was strike stuff. Like it kept getting like these very unlucky moments. So it's like, maybe it's not the film's fault, but we finally have the trailer and it looks like a CW show.
For me, it's because I've been playing the Alan Wake stuff recently for a podcast thing. And just, there were so many scenes where I was just like, this just feels like a fight in that video game, and it's just like the visuals even just look like when they're all walking around in the town, it's all dimly lit and that, like, it just looks like an Alan Wake cutscene. I don't know if you played that, but
yeah.
And even just the plot of a writer coming back to the town and weird shit happening. So it's just kind of funny from that perspective. I realized that Salem's Lot came out way before that video game, so it probably stole from that, but it was just funny how uninspired, I want to say.
Well, it looks, again, it was like, there was a couple shots where I said like, oh, that looked neat. It's the writer and director wrote The Nun and The Nun 2, and directed only one film, Annabelle Comes Home.
The Nun 2, none your business.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like, it doesn't mean, because like, writers, directors, they have to go through studio thing. It's not reflective of them, but it's all to say that like, there's nothing they did so far that made me go like, ooh, okay, all right. Like that new Apartment 7A that's coming out. It's from a director that I'm like, oh, okay, that might be good. This, I'm like, I'm going to need proof that this is going to turn out okay. And then this trailer, like, there was nothing scary in it. Like there was a couple glowy eye things. I was like, that's cool. But like that ending thing where the guy gets like snatched up.
Yeah.
It didn't look like it. Everything was like too bright. It like nothing looks shot for horror. It more looks like it's shot for like a teen horror show where it's like, we're going to be scary, but not too scary. Like when he's
looks like if they did a CW show trying to cash in on Stranger Things.
Yeah. Like it just doesn't, it's hard to like describe having only watched the trailer once, but it has like that Netflix lighting, that like red and blue. It has a lot of like people flung against the wall. It has like, that's the shot where he's like in the town and then there's all these like vampires standing on things, and it like, it's all blue, and it sort of looks like telling AI to make horror.
The town doesn't even feel like an actual like place. It just feels like a backlot or a set. Like it just looks like it's filmed. It just feels like a set for a TV series. It does not feel like a movie.
Yeah.
And just it's going to be hilarious seeing the kids in this at the premiere, and they're all gangly looking and tall because it's been like 7 years since they filmed this. So.
Yeah. The shot like where there's a sequence, and I watched it a few times in like a morgue where the body is sitting in a morgue, and then this first scare thing is that their slipper, their like hotel sandal, falls off. And that's weird because I'm like, why are they wearing a hotel slipper? And it falls off and it's like, ooh. And then it cuts to them. It's hard to tell like what the scene actually plays out, but it cuts to the body sitting up. And when you look in that shot, it's supposed to be like covered in a sheet, but the sheet has sleeves all of a sudden. Like it is a robe. And I was like, what is that? And then the shot is like not particularly well framed. It's like sort of off framed in a way. And it's like one of those things we've seen a million times. So like sheet standing up. And it's stuff like that where I'm like, this doesn't quite feel like it's good.
It's also being coy about, it seems like it's playing it coy about being about vampires, where it's like,
yeah,
we know, man.
Right. And so like, I mean, this is just a trailer, so maybe they're, cutting around context. But yeah, it does not do the vampire. I mean, it basically shows like, there's glowy eyed people who can like hypnotize you.
Yeah.
And again, the glowy eye shit out the window looks good, But I don't know, man.
It's
taken
Stephen
so
King
long.
has had some weird stuff in terms of adaptations
That's
decade.
the other thing. Like Stephen King, you're like, well, he's hit or miss in terms of adaptations, right? So like,
yeah. So just, I'm with you. I don't like. I think this would be something where I'd have to hear from other people that it's worth like investing time into it, because
it's so hard because like these horror, we've had so much horror. So like a guy like burying a grave at night for some reason in the fog, and then the grave goes like thump, 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 and he looks over and it's like, ooh. And it's like, yeah, I mean, I've seen this. I've seen it all, a million times. It's hard. I always think about Mike Flanagan, where it's like Mike Flanagan isn't reinventing the wheel, but there's something about the way he shoots things that makes me go like, oh God, that's creepy. He nailed it. Even if it's something that I've more or less seen before. And there's nothing in this trailer that did that.
Yeah, I don't know really who this is for. Like, it doesn't really seem fun enough for kids to like be like, oh, it's kids fighting vampires and stuff like that.
It has kids vibe. There's like a CGI shot where a body goes flying through a church. Like, there's a lot of like loud CGI moments that I thought we were done with. You know what I mean? But I guess this was made in 2022, so
yeah. So I don't know, man. It's like, I can't see like hardcore King folk being excited for this. I don't see this hitting like a teen market, and I don't know if little kids would be excited by this. It just
looks
forgettable.
I think there's a reason they were like, all right, we'll put this on Max around Halloween because people will watch it, right? They will watch it around Halloween on Max, and it'll be fine. Like I do think like I'm glad I don't have to go to a theater because I'm just generally unsure about this one. But maybe I'm wrong. You know, like maybe it'll be great. The trail. It's hard to tell from a trailer. It's just that there was nothing in this.
Yeah, no, it's
Yeah. Let's talk about this next one. Small Things Like These. Hell of a name.
Somebody posted, I guess this person tweeted it a while ago, but somebody had a tweet where it was like, all books are either called large things that are actually very small or The Drowning Wife. And this title for this trailer came out the next day, and
Based
I started
on a
laughing
book.
really hard. Yeah.
This has got Oppenheimer in there. It's based off a book. It's not that the trailer is not much help, which isn't, I mean, the trailer was still enough for me to want to see it, but they don't explain too much. It's very indie drama. The moment they cut to like a shot of the rain and then there's like a violin kicks in, I was like, oh, we got an indie drama, motherfuckers. It's about a guy discovering that a local convent has like some dark secret. Emily Watson's there as like evil nun, or who can say. It's a drama, so I assume she's not like mustache twirling evil, but it looks good. This is all to say, this looks really good.
This looks like a good adult big boy, big girl movie. Like just, oh yeah, I can actually watch it. There's drama and stakes and humanity in there. Yeah. I didn't look up stuff because I kind of don't want to get spoiled, but I cannot tell if what the convent is hiding is either going to be like a metaphor or like a horror thing, or if it's just actually going to be about child abuse. Yeah, but it seems like there's something about child abuse, and it's either going to be metaphorical or just straight up, he sees
a girl being dragged in, and I wonder if it's about like young women and like history with that shit. I don't know.
And it's good. You mentioned Emily Watson. I'm glad to see her in stuff again. She kind of disappeared the back half of last decade after doing a bunch of good shit. It's excited to see her there. Excited to see Killian post Oppenheimer. So
it's two very good actors, probably going fucking nuts, and it just, I don't know. Yeah, if you're like a teen, you might not be excited by this, but as an adult, as a boring adult, I'm like, hell yeah, give me a church scandal drama all the fucking way. Give me some
stakes about human condition.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I know. This looks good. We might see this at the Oscars. I feel like this might be one of those low-key Oscar movies that like, because not a lot of people go out to see like bummer indie dramas. So like, understandably, these movies sort of like go by, and then the Oscars happen. You're like, wait, what movie?
Yeah. This is going to get like the nom after winning a bunch of Critics' Choice Awards and like the BAFTAs and like all of that stuff for there. It'd probably be like, oh, Emily Watson, supporting actress. Oh, wow, a big comeback for her and like that other stuff. So,
I don't know. It looks good. The trailer's weirdly cryptic. I would say like they could have said a little more about it, but the vibes are there that made me want to look into it.
As opposed to the last trailer, this is directed by someone who knows how to film creepy nighttime scenes in a town, in a small town.
You're right.
So,
this looks creepy.
So, yeah, two very different executions between the past two trailers.
Yeah, this almost feels like it could be kind of a horror. I know it's not going to be. I'm sure it's based off true stories. Yeah. But like, it seems like what's being done is horrific, and so it'll probably be a creepy story for that, but we'll see. Yeah. Cool. All right. Well, let's move on to The Fire Inside. This is a boxing sports drama comedy, I think.
Biopic.
There we go.
So this is based off of the boxer Clarissa Shields. She is the best women's boxer in the world right now. She's only like 29, so she's still in there. She's tried to dabble her toe a little bit in MMA to mixed results, but she's an incredible boxer. So, what'd you think?
I mean, so it's written by fucking Barry Jenkins, not directed by. He directed Moonlight.
That threw me for a loop because
they say like from Barry Jenkins, and you're like, wait, what?
Yeah, because I've been like all my Barry Jenkins energy has been focused on. I don't know if have you seen the show The Nick?
No.
Okay, so Soderbergh had this show called The Nick that was like a medical drama in like the 1900s. It was like Clive Owen doing weird shit in a hospital there, but he only did 2 seasons, and Soderbergh directed every episode, and it ended, and now he announced that it's coming back, and Barry Jenkins is doing the new season, and it's going to be based around Andre Holland's character from there. So I've been super excited about that, and this just kind of slipped past my Barry Jenkins radar.
Yeah.
So I was very pleasantly surprised with this trailer.
He's busy directing Mufasa, the Lion King.
I hope he gets so much fucking money from that.
That's all I can say about that movie. So maybe this was something he just written and was interested in and was like, I'll pass it on. I don't know. But this, I mean, I'm not a sportsman. So like for me, most sports movies kind of run into the same issue with me, which is that they all feel vaguely predictable, at least when they're like about like a sports team. Are we going to win? And it's like, well, it's one of 2 answers. Like they always feel like it's sort of like biopics where they always kind of feel like they hit these beats. So that means that like for me, sports movies really have to sell me on the characters themselves, which is what this did. The fact that it's about a teenager who is boxing, a teenage girl boxing, that alone was like, okay. And then there's like this pressure for her to be like a little more feminine, which I was like, okay, that's a cool aspect. And then like the people around her are really like charismatic and kind of, she's still being treated like a teenager. And everybody just seemed really like likable and a little funny in like a down to earth way where it was like, this felt charming. The word is charming. Where I'm like, I don't know anything about this boxer, but I like her from this trailer, and I want her to succeed.
So I don't want to spoil some of this stuff because a lot of people but this like kind of hits a lot of the stuff that Adam and I complain about in WNBA. Specifically, like with Clarissa, she's been a real strong proponent of like elevating equality in terms of like women in boxing, because just the pay rates and just other things in terms of coverage and that. Right. So it doesn't look like they're shielding away from any of that part of her story in here, which I was very happy. Also, the thing that stood out to me as funny is the director for this. It's her first, I think, full directing debut. It's Rachel Morrison. She was the cinematographer for a couple of Ryan Coogler movies, but not Creed, which was the Coogler movie that was a boxing one.
Maybe that's where she needed to scratch that itch. She was like,
because I was like, oh man, I'm interested because I like the boxing scenes in Creed, but then I'm like, oh wait, she had nothing to do with that. Yeah. Okay, so
he's like, you get Black Panther, and it's like, all right, I don't get to do shit for Black Panther. All right, fine.
But yeah, this just this looks different than the usual sports movie that you're going to get, also just in terms of cast and directing and story told. So I'm kind of excited about this. Women boxing, we really haven't seen a lot out of. Like, we had some 90s movies that kind of delved into that, like Girl Fight, and I forget.
I think that's a part of it, which is like another appeal for me, like, is diversity. And what I mean by that is diversity of subject as well as diversity of people, meaning that it's like a young Black teenage girl boxing. I'm like, that combination of things I can't really think of for a movie that's happened. And like, we love the underdog stories and stuff like that. And it's like, they picked the right part of this career, which is like being a teenager and getting started.
I'm also interested if this delves into any of the Flint stuff, because she's from Flint, Michigan. Yeah. And I don't know if that affected her or not.
Maybe just their water will occasionally be on fire in some shots,
Also, I love Brian Tyler Henry. You just give him more stuff. Give him all the stuff he wants to act in. He's
Who's
fantastic.
that in this?
He's I don't know if he's playing her dad or if he's playing her coach. But
but yeah, he was one of the reasons it was charm in this.
Yeah, from Atlanta and like a bunch of other. He's basically been.
He was in
so
Bullet
much
Train.
Yep, Bullet Train.
He
was definitely in that. He was one of the watchable parts of that movie.
Apparently, he's in the new Transformers as Megatron.
Yep.
So that's cool. Oh yeah, Godzilla Kong. Yeah, like he's been sort of. They're like, okay, you can be the funny side character guy. Is like where it feels like, and he seems funny in this, so it's not like they're nerfing that. But like this is nice to see. I
really like that he's been doing a lot of range with his stuff because he's played like
he was an
street level gangster rapper. He's played a comedian. He's played a superhero. He's played, so it's like give me more of him in movies. He's fun. But I think this is going to be on Amazon. If I read that correctly, I don't think this is a theatrical release.
I mean, it's a matter of opinion, but personally, I'm like, this is something I'd watch on Amazon personally. Yeah. I think everything should have theatrical runs, but like, it's
probably going to have a better audience on Amazon, honestly.
Yeah. All right. Next film, Brothers. Oh my goodness, this just came out of nowhere. They have the beginning of this is Peter Dinklage getting thrown in a bathtub by Brendan Fraser.
Peter Dinklage with a handlebar mustache getting thrown into a bathtub by Brendan Fraser.
Yeah, and then they just act like that didn't happen for most of the movie, where I was like, wait a fucking second. And then like when they do like, here's everybody that's in it, and it's like, there he is. But it's just such, because then they just cut to Josh Brolin and him. And then Glenn Close and Miss Marissa Tomei. This is basically a zany, like this felt like I was waiting to see that this was like a Farley Brothers movie. Like it has that tone with all these like award-winning actors. It was co-written by Ethan Coen, which explains a lot for me.
Wrong Coen. It's Eton Coen.
Oh, you're
the
right.
Other one.
Oh,
the guy who did
they all got
Walk
tricked.
Hard.
Yeah, maybe they all got tricked into it.
Yeah.
Well, he did Tropic Thunder, so actually, honestly, this Coen also has some fucking credibility where I'm sure people are.
I just like Robert Pattinson with weird voices. I'm ready for any time that Peter Dinklage decides to do weird hair or facial hair. It's just funny every single time.
The other writer is the writer of the new Toxic Avenger, which also has Peter Dinklage in it.
Yep.
Yeah. That's all to say, like, this is probably going to be really fun.
You mentioned, like, it's just great to see Brendan Fraser doing comedy again. It's also great to see, and I think he's very underrated, but I love watching Brolin do comedy. I don't think he's done one since
he was good
the
in
other
Men in
Coen
Black.
Brothers movie, Hail Caesar.
Oh,
Is that the last time he did a jokey
was good in Men
movie?
in Black as like, people forget him playing young Tommy Lee Jones is kind of amazing.
Yeah.
I'm looking.
It's also good because, like, in this, he's not, like, in Men in Black, he's playing Tommy Lee Jones as kind of like the deadpan serious comedy, and then same thing with like that. Here he's a loser, kind of, and like
it's kind of cool, like, because like Hail Caesar, I don't remember him in that, but he was also in Deadpool. He was Cable, and that was like, I'm a serious
straight man in Cable. Hail Caesar, he was the studio head, so he was just kind of like serious, like the funny stuff was happening around him. So
he rarely gets to do something like this, and I think
him in weird shorts and also him in tighty whities falling over a railing and crashing on top of his car is just hilarious. So there's some funny stuff in here.
This could be a disaster, and what I mean by that is it's always great to see like these dramatic great actors in screwball comedies. However, there's a reason why comedic actors can pivot to serious stuff while serious actors have trouble with comedy. And it's the same reason why, if you've watched any episode of Saturday Night Live, why, like, you're like, man, some of these sketches, because it's like, it doesn't mean they're funny. Like, if they've come up in drama, that it's harder sometimes. But I'm so excited to see them take this big swing. Also, Brendan Fraser is like, I always forget, he was very funny in The Mummy. He was obviously in Encino Man. Like, he is a funny actor, and so to see him in this,
Monkey
I'm
Bone.
like, yeah, Monkey Bone. And so it's nice to see him doing funny again, because he sort of had that like resurgence of like, I'm doing serious stuff.
Yeah.
But it's nice to see him be a clown again.
This was directed by the person who did Palm Springs, which I did not see.
I've heard only good things about it.
Yeah, people said it was a great installment into the Groundhog cinematic universe.
Yeah.
Or Groundhog's Day cinematic universe.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I'll have to see that. I've been meaning to. Yeah, I mean, I think this is going to be a lot of fun. I'm excited.
Also, it's nice to see Marissa Tomei doing comedy and not MCU comedy, actual comedy.
Yeah, I watched My Cousin Vinny again recently. She is amazing in that.
I saw it like maybe 2 months ago. I never understand why people try to make that stupid rumor about like them reading the wrong name for the Oscar. She straight up deserved that. She's so good.
Yeah, she's amazing. Yeah, this is great. It's just great to see this cast together doing a comedy. I hope it works out.
We need a Glenn Close redemption tour after
Hillbilly Elegy.
Yeah. Oh God.
Glenn Close has been in some weird shit. Yeah, I mean, it's all to say that this is either going to be amazing or it's going to be a disaster. And either way, I'm going to enjoy it. And that's what matters. All right, next trailer. Timestalker. Great name.
I had no idea what this was, and when I was clicking the link, I was expecting it to be some shitty like sci-fi action movie or something like that.
But it's literally about a time stalker, more or less.
No, it was within 2 seconds of seeing Dr. Liz from Garth Marenghi's Dark Place, who I believe directed this movie also and starring it.
Yep.
I'm just like, okay, all in. I know exactly what this is. I cannot wait to watch this.
Yeah, Nick Frost is there.
She is a literal time stalker.
Yeah, it's so for people who are wondering, it's the bit from What We Do in the Shadows with Jeff, but it's from Jeff's perspective, more or less. It's about a woman being reincarnated multiple times, and she keeps falling in love with the same wrong dude and then dying. Yep. She also made a movie called Prevenge, which I haven't seen, but it looked great. It was about a pregnant woman where the baby is telling her to kill people, which is a great premise. And so is this. Like, it's basically, different timelines of her doing comedy bits and then dying, it looks like.
And not lazy comedic directing. Like, there is a lot of interesting stuff in terms with like the timelines and the shifting and the way that they're presenting stuff just from like production design standpoint and things. Yeah. So it's like, it's not one of those boring comedies where we've gotten too many of, where it's just, hey, put the camera on a tripod and then improv for 20 minutes and we'll cut something out of this.
Yeah, like, this is coming out, by the way, October 11th. It's soon. Mm-hmm. I got Shaun of the Dead vibes, and what I was really getting was Edgar Wright vibes, which was like doing a very dynamic looking comedy about an interesting, unique premise. Like, it's, yeah,
it's just the idea of a stalker through the ages is just hilarious, and then them dying and then having to come to terms with that with reincarnation is just a great fucking premise, and the person doing it, like I said, I love Dark Place. I like other stuff she's been in. It's just, as soon as I saw her, I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm in. I'm on board. And it just, as you mentioned, there's Simon Pegg. There's some other people who fans of British style comedy will probably recognize and enjoy.
Yeah, this was going to be on my more hype, except it seems to be getting a good amount of hype, or at least it's blowing up a little bit. So yeah, I'm excited for this one. Speaking of things that was going to be on more hype, this next one was also, and honestly, like, it does deserve more hype. I just bumped it only because, like, normally when I bump something, I go like, I'll do it next week. But I just wanted to fucking talk about this. Night Silence. Shout out to Doc Garby, who on Blue Sky sent me this trailer. It's Poland. This is a Polish film, I believe. Mm-hmm. It's about an old guy at a nursing home that appears to be just filled with boogans, just like all sorts of monsters, practical costume effects, like The Thing, but like not. It's a straight up horror movie. It seems like, but it's very grotesque. The synopsis says that they come at midnight, but you get the vibe that they're like doing his bidding, or like
if he's like he might be a Renfield for him or something like that.
Yeah.
I really you
know what it is? Sorry, it's Gritty Bubba Hotep.
Ooh, yes.
Because nursing home is a great place for a horror movie for multiple reasons. One, people don't care about old people in nursing homes, so they can die
old man stink also.
Yeah, and then it's hard for them to defend themselves, etc. So what were you gonna say?
I was gonna say, so this, one of the things I really liked about this, I like getting Eastern European creepies in there, because there's so many weird like Eastern European folklore like monsters and stuff that just, when you see like the illustrations from them from like the 1700s or whatever, they're always weird and metal as fuck, and it's a lot different than what we usually get with like an Americanized version of this. So it was nice to see that, and also see it mostly, I think, practical effects in there.
Seems that way, yeah.
Like just visually this looks different than most of the horror stuff that's probably going to be coming out next month, and it just looks cool as shit, and just design wise. So
unfortunately, I think it's going to take a while to come out. I think it's at Beyond Fest. Like I think this is a next year thing.
Okay.
I don't know. I'm going to keep an eye on it, but like there's not much about it. There's no reviews of it. And so like just going by this trailer, it's like, this looks fucking great.
And also, to go back to the previous trailer, another person who knows how to film night scenes and make them creepy inside a place. That's
this looks for horror fans. Night Silence, maybe Google Night Silence 2024 film, because you'll get other things with Night Silence. You'll get like Silent Night. That's how off the grid this one is, where it's like it's hard to Google, but it's out there. Now,
like I said, it's just, I hope that we get, I hope that it's not just the one creature. I hope there's like multiple in there, so we get a couple of different designs. It feels like that's going to be the case, but it's
the creature.
Just seeing a like practical effect creature like this is just like, ooh, nice.
That alone is like, it looks great. Yeah. Main event. It's happened, folks. Den of Thieves 2, Pantera. The trailer is out. It has been 6 years since the first Den of Thieves. 6 years. That's too much time between Den of Thieves. There should have been 5 sequels. They're like, I've been waiting for this. Den of Thieves, for people who don't know, is like an indie. For people like, those straight to DVD action films that you sort of just gloss over. Den of Thieves looks like one of those, but the secret is that it's actually very good. It's got Gerald Butler, the Buttles in it, which is more of a reason why most people probably saw it on streaming and went, nah, I'm good.
Yeah, it just on the doc you wrote like, I think that's it for trailers, and then I saw this at like, I think 10 o'clock at night, and I ran to the computer to email you like, no, and you were just like, oh, I'm adding this now. So
I've been waiting for fucking a new Den of Thieves. This is seriously, everybody, do yourself a favor, go watch Den of Thieves if you haven't. It's a delight.
So glad that I wrote this in the notes, but I'm so glad that Gerard Butler's approaching this like how superheroes get more jacked and shredded in sequels, except he's getting sleazier and more divorced looking. He looks so scummy in this.
Well, the premise is that because he's the cop, and he sees I believe the villain, the robber, the thief,
from Mastermind, Ice Cube Jr. from the first one.
Yeah, and he sees that he's working on a heist, and he doesn't. He basically he tells the cops like, I don't know who this is. This isn't the suspect. He tracks him down. He goes, I want in, and that's the premise. Is that the cop is now joining the Den of Thieves.
He sweatily tracks him down and sleazily sits at his dinner table, and then when Ice Cube pulls a gun, he grabs it, puts it back, and says, "I love when people pull guns because they don't know how to use it." It's everything about him seems like it was written in a panic at in the lobby of a custody child hearing.
Yeah.
And I mean that as a compliment. It's what a sleazy divorced dad character.
Yeah.
He's so great. I'm so glad he's back in my life.
It's the same writer-director, so like,
yes.
I'm so excited because we're in good hands. Yeah, I can't stress enough. Like Den of Thieves, it was silly. Don't get me wrong, it's silly, but it's sort of like that Universal Soldier: Day of Reckoning, where you're like, this is like the 5th Universal Soldier. Why would I watch it? And then it's like this hidden gem of like, this is a really good action thriller. It didn't need to be this good. Den of Thieves is that, where it's like, I feel bad that it blended in with other movies.
Den of Thieves is like the 5th attempt to tell something based off of like the Rampart cop scandal after like Dark Heat and The Shield and all of that, but it's not just like, oh, well, this is cookie cutters, we could have done without this. It's actually fun to watch. I've really enjoyed the turn that O'Shea Jackson Jr. has been taking with his career. I think he's better than his dad. Obviously, politically, he's way better, but I think just acting-wise, he's way more interesting in the stuff that he does. So I'm glad he's getting like a meaty, hopefully, franchise thing to go. Yeah. And again, Gerard Butler knows exactly what the fuck he's doing in this movie. Like,
he's being perfect, is what he's doing. Yeah, he's being the greasiest motherfucker who ever lived.
They need to have this in one of those like 4D theaters where they have just like people walking in the aisles and blowing smoke in the audience's face during his scenes and just like rubbing ashtrays like leavings on people while they're watching it, because that's what this is. This movie looks like if you scratched and sniffed it, it would smell like a cabbie's car seat.
Oh yeah. Oh god, yeah. I can't.
So incredible.
Wait.
I was so happy that this popped up in time. I was really like hoping, because it said like, oh, trailer drops tomorrow, and I was hoping it wouldn't be like, oh, at 9 p.m. or something like that. So yeah,
this better be in theaters. I better be able to see this front row.
There is no way that this is not in theaters. This has to be a theatrical movie.
It says it's in theaters January 10th. It's all happening.
The commemorative popcorn cup that they give you of this should look like a bottle of whiskey in a brown bag.
Yes.
Like,
oh my god, yes.
Yeah. No, this is, oh man, this is delightful.
This movie's perfect.
I want to say, if you guys haven't seen the original, or just you go and see the original, I want to say, didn't you and Adam Todd Brown with Tom do like a best bad movie on this?
I know,
or something?
I talked about it in a podcast somewhere.
You've done it in a podcast somewhere, and I remember it being a good one. So yeah, if you guys are interested in this, go check that out, because I remember it being a very funny pod. So, yeah.
And it's such a good movie. It's like a bank robbery. It's like a Heat. And again, like, had it been made in more the 90s, I think it would have really stood out. It just sort of blended in with that genre and how we made so many versions.
Also,
of that.
It looks like they've upped the stakes, because you mentioned it's the same director and writer as last time, but he seems like he's adequately upped the stakes. Like, there are a couple of scenes involving car chases that look like they're going to be really fun, and there's a couple of heist scenes too that are probably going to be great.
And they're somewhere else, right? They're in some European country.
Yeah, it's called Pantera because they're going after like the Panther cartel, and I'm just waiting for a scene where Gerard Butler just comes out and they start playing Pantera's Walk, and he just looks sleazy as shit. Like,
I really hope they were just gonna rob the band Pantera.
Yeah, they're just robbing the remaining members of the band Pantera.
I love the idea that they're like secretly have diamonds and are really rich with their Pantera money.
Yeah, they're like Metallica, but they haven't been flaunting it.
Yeah. Den of Thieves. All right. We should probably move on to news stories. But first, let's thank some more producers, starting with a big thank you to Christopher Robert Sparks Esquire. Thank you. Thank you to Dan Hackroyd. Thank you to David Ruff. Thank you to David Knife Boot Henson. Thank you.
Boot.
Thank you to Deborah's Awesome, Barbara is Great, and Cancer Can Go to Hell. Thank you to Dracula, the bus driving vampire. Thank you to Driftless, Lord of the Wasteland, wants you to just walk away. Thank you to Ed, Nug. Thank you to Exploding Runes. Thank you to Funky J, mostly comes out at night, mostly. And thank you to Heathcliff's Helping Handfuls.
Dracula the bus driving vampire should be a character in Salem's Lot. Just throwing that out there. Let me jump in here. Highlander likes the way Tom says pretty sweet.
Thank you.
Ombre.
Thank you.
Impossible Worlds. We have your Swaim and will release him for the cost of your subscription.
Thank you.
Thank you to Lieutenant Frank Dreblin, Police Squad.
Thank you.
Thank you to Look Mom at a Podcast.
Thank you.
Thank you to Mackenzie, Fuck Shuffling with Willem Dafoe's confusingly large dick chill.
Thank you.
Thank you to Mercurial Oz.
Thank you.
Thank you to Mike the Lurker.
Thank you.
Thank you to Mongolian's Throat Skanking.
Thank you.
Pick it up, pick it up.
Pick it up.
Thank you to musical guest Rob Ritchie.
Thank you. All right. Well, they're making a Sims movie. Of course they are. Of course they were always going to. It's Kate Herron who did Loki. I know what's her name? Margot Robbie is producing it. I assume they're trying to do a Barbie thing just by involving her. I mean,
it's one of those things where you see the headline, you're like, this is stupid. But then you see the creatives and you're like, there's a slight sliver of a chance that this might be enjoyable if they do it.
You basically just have to do the Matrix, right? Like,
yeah.
The idea you have to Lego it. You have to do the meta thing. Barbie, like there's no otherwise. It's just a movie about people in a house doing nothing.
It's literally just like a CG version of fucking Big Brother or whatever.
Yeah, I think they should do like a Black Mirror version where it's people realizing that nothing they do or say is under their control. That everything they do is faded,
but not bad.
Yeah, exactly. Where the idea that they're just living in this dystopian hellhole where they can't break free. I mean, what else could it be? This is
going to be a movie that like lives or dies by its casting. Like if you have the right actors and they go with like the premise that you were talking about, I could see this being good. But yeah, I think don't know.
Vegas odds is it being like exhausting. The same way the Minecraft movie was always like, all right, you're either going to do something really fresh and original with it, or it's going to be like, you know, the Angry Birds movie. And we know how that ended up. And so this is kind of the same where it's like, we've done this. We've done Free Guy. We've done Barbie. We've done Lego. And it's like, I don't know if we need another one. And it's filled with like the meta humor and the, we're going to cut to like, you know, I can see them being in like, we're in our happy Sims world. And then you see the real world and like a kid's controlling, which again, you've seen this. We've seen this several times. So I'm like, the best it can be is really well made.
It could just be like a thing we've seen, but hopefully with better jokes because it's from a better person. But I don't have faith in that. Like I don't have faith. We're gonna need more details and stuff on there, but this is one of those things where it's like with the Minecraft movie, you're like, how are they gonna make that? It's gonna be dumb, and they're probably just gonna do this. And you were hoping that they don't, but then you saw the trailer for the Minecraft movie. You're like, oh yeah, it looks dumb, and they just did the thing we thought they would do.
It's exactly the thing, yeah. And like, I liked Loki. I have faith in this filmmaker. It's just the studio to not just do the same fucking thing. I don't know, and make it just this like middle of the road kids movie. You know, it's the Barbie movie was a pleasant surprise at not being that, but it's like. Man, I mean, they're gonna have to work hard for this. Like, it would be amazing to see it would be amazing if the plot isn't exactly what we all expect it to be. You know what I mean?
I would be shocked. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like you'd have to do something different, but the problem is with doing something different, I think we've reached the point where even doing it different, we can predict what that difference would be. Like, you know what I mean? Like, we know what the out-of-the-box idea for this would be, so you'd have to go even further out of the box, and I don't think they're going to do that.
Yeah. I don't know.
We already know what the meta jokes about this would be. we'd have to get beyond that, and I don't know if there's a place for that, but who knows?
Who knows? So James Cameron's making a movie about Hiroshima.
Possibly making a movie.
He's basically going to cram it in between avatars is what we're getting here. It's based off a couple of books. And the books at least largely follow the very famous story about the businessman who was in Hiroshima on when that got bombed and was like, man, that sucked. Well, better take this train to Nagasaki, and then was bombed again.
Yep.
A guide to survive 2 nukes, which is like one of those stories where I'm sure it's a harrowing, serious story, but like broadly standing back from it, my reaction was always just like, Jesus Christ.
What did he do that pissed God off that much?
Yeah, that's terrible luck. That's comically bad luck.
Yeah. Like when I first heard this, I was like, this doesn't seem like James Cameron's story to tell, but apparently he talked to that guy before he died and got his blessing to direct this. So that kind of alleviated a little bit of that.
Yeah, and also Titanic. And I like, it's that thing where James Cameron seems good at like telling emotional stories around disasters that we're so far away from that we don't really have a personal connection to, you know what I mean? Where it's like Titanic is almost abstract, kind of as is this. I mean, obviously, like there's more to it. Oppenheimer just came out too, so I wonder if he watched that and was like, well, I can do that, you know?
I think James Cameron just has a thing for Japanese stuff in history. Like he's a huge anime fan. He loves this. So I wouldn't be surprised if that's just his main connection there. But it's kind of, you file this under the thing of here's a thing James Cameron wants to do that sounds like if anybody else is doing it, it might not work, but it's James Cameron, so just bet on the side of Cameron because he usually wins those.
He defies
bets.
all odds. Yes, he does. I mean, he's no stranger to scenes of nuclear explosions, classic scenes. So like, but that's the thing that I wonder. And again, I'm not doubting him because just like you just said, he'll probably pull it off. But like, it feels like this needs to be treated with a little more reverence than a shot of a man pinwheeling off the Titanic.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay. Or a shot of someone being stripped to their skeleton in Terminator 2. So I'm like, yeah, he's definitely going to have to handle this differently than he has other historical disasters. But again, it's not like he hasn't nailed it every fucking time, at least in terms of like box office draw. So
yeah, I'm done betting against him. Like it never works. Everyone thought that they were going to finally get their comeuppance with Avatar 2. It's like, no one even remembers these characters' names. Who's going to watch this piece? And then it's just like, oh yeah, watch me. And then boom.
It's like Genie Wish, where it's just like, really? All right.
Yeah.
Like, amazing. He did it again
like
somehow.
It's like there's that it's like Lucy with the football where it's like, this time I'm gonna nail this prediction that he's gonna screw this up, and then just nope, he just yanks the football away. He's like, no, what?
Yeah, so I think this will probably be really good. Again, he knows how to be respectful, but he also knows, I don't know, Titanic's such a weird one because it's like he stuck a love story over it to the point that you almost forget when you're watching it that it's a Titanic. But like, and that feels like a bad idea, right? But then when you watch it, you go like, oh, this humanizes the event. And that's actually a really key component to kind of having that reverence towards it. And so, yeah, I mean, I'm sure this won't be a love story, but I assume he'll do something else like that, you know, making it about a
how
single
he approaches
person.
the American military in terms of that, because like it's weird because I mean he isn't really like T2. Literally, the reason he came up with like the T1000 as a cop is like, oh, I watched Rodney King thing and just, you know, cops are trash. So it's not like he's just blindly jingoistic it's not Michael Bay. So again, I'm very interested in seeing how he handles this.
I'm hoping he doesn't show it from the American perspective at all, because it's more
That
like
would be
these
great.
terrifying acts, these like godlike acts that just happen out of the blue. Like it's gotta be, it's obviously must have been terrifying. Following this guy who took the train is a way for him to cover both bombings too, without doing like he's very good at avoiding like the Michael Bay Emmerich thing, where it's sort of like we're gonna follow a bunch of people from like this higher perspective, where it's like he's very good at keeping it as like a human story of these big events, and I think that's just what he's gonna do. And if that's the case, then I don't think it should be like Meanwhile in Washington shit. Like I think he should handle it as like a personal human story that just happens,
because we really don't get that perspective, like outside of like, especially with like stuff that actually makes it overseas. Because like right now, like the only one I could think of is Grave of the Fireflies, which I think is actually dropping on Netflix this week if you haven't seen it. But that's possibly the only one that I can really think of that delves into this type of thing, and that's one of the saddest animated films you'll ever see. So but worth watching.
Speaking of directors who can handle things with reverence, Baz Luhrmann's making a Joan of Arc movie.
They announced it like 3 days after Jenna Ortega was like, my dream role is to play Joan of Arc.
Yes.
And I'm really wondering if she was like, they're making this and I'm throwing that out there, so you better fucking cast me. Because this is coming from Warner Brothers and they just dropped Beetlejuice. So.
Right. Or she's going to hear this and go like, not like that. Like, do you know how to sing and dance? And it's like, no, I don't want to. Because like, I don't know. It's just very funny because it's Joan of Arc is someone that you can really explore the story of. But so far, I don't know, we've gotten her in Bill and Ted.
What was the oh shoot, I'm blanking on her name. Lilu from The Fifth Element.
Oh yeah, she did one.
Yeah, she did one.
Mila Jovovich.
That's it. Yeah, I think she did one like 99 or something. But that was kind of serious.
Yeah, we haven't gotten like a definitive one, and I'm like, I don't think Baz Luhrmann's going to do that, right? Like, that's not going to be the person.
This is going to be like, interesting. That's what it will be.
Yeah, it's going to be like, it feels like it's going to be in somewhat poor. He called it the ultimate teenage girl coming of age story, and I'm like, is it though? Is it the ultimate coming of age story for a teenage girl? Is this what teenage girl, like, I get where he's coming from, sort of like, but it needs to be more than that. Like, I don't know. This isn't like, I assume he's going to do like a Marie Antoinette, like the Sofia Coppola one, like where it's like kind of stylizing it.
I want Tom Hanks in a fat suit with a French accent where someone says, and she's a girl.
I want him to play
girl, and then they just do the zoom out where
she's a girl. Yeah, holy shit. In Bill and Ted, by the way, there's a whole scene where, like, if you remember, they bring her back at the end. Like, they bring all the historical figures back, but not before bringing them to a mall. And I was like, Joan of Arc, just walk into one history section of a bookstore. She'll be like,
maybe don't spend time in Orange Julius. Go to the Barnes and Noble.
Yeah, go to the Barnes and Noble. Look yourself up. You should all probably do that. But yeah, fucking whatever. This will be something.
This is going to be man, this is going to have $100 million budget, and it's going to be slapstick everywhere. It's going to be fantastically weird.
Yeah, Baz Luhrmann, man. I don't think he's ever like blown me away. Like, I remember what was that, Romeo plus Juliet, and I remember even as a teenager going like, this is silly.
It's silly, but god damn if John Leguizamo and Harold Pinot did not understand the assignment perfectly for that. That is, Jesus Christ, he's so good in that movie.
There's always something to love. And he takes a while between, like, I forgot Moulin Rouge was his next thing, and that was way later. Then Australia, which I certainly didn't see.
Did you hear what they did with that?
Yeah, they like tried to make it a TV show and pretended we wouldn't notice.
Yeah, they cut it up into a 5-part TV show on fucking Hulu now.
Pretended we wouldn't notice, yeah.
And I actually... film cucked because he was going to do Alexander, and then Oliver Stone knocked him off of there and did that instead.
It's for the best. Yeah. I just realized I haven't seen a single one of his films since Moulin Rouge. I didn't see Australia. I didn't see Great Gatsby. I didn't see Elvis.
Great Gatsby. Jesus, then. Ugh.
Yeah. And that's the thing, is that he's just never... I just never looked at one of his films and went like, ooh, I got to see that.
It's... Visually, it's cool and everything, but there's something missing from his campiness that I used to enjoy that I would get out of Joel Schumacher's campiness.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what the little bit extra that Schumacher would put in it that hit right for me, but I think he did, where Luhrmann did not.
Luhrmann, at least from the 2 fucking movies I've watched, took himself a little too seriously. Like, it didn't, I don't know. And like his movies, they weren't that fun. Like, I'm not a big musical fan. And like, yeah, visually, he's always been interesting. But it's sort of like, whenever I look at Baz Luhrmann's visuals, I go like, I mean, Terry Gilliam does this visual better. I mean, he's an asshole. But like there's always been directors who I've always looked at Baz Luhrmann and went like, yeah, I mean, it's fine, I guess. You know, like, it's never been like...
If we're going to do amazing. Like a weird version of this, I think I would have liked Julie Taymor doing it instead. She seems to have that blend of like
what did
crazy. She did Titus.
Oh, fuck. Titus.
Yeah, so
yeah, I
like,
would have loved to see her do the Joan of Arc. Yeah,
yeah, like that seems like the level of like crazy, but like held in. And she also famously did Spider-Man: Turn Off the Dark on Broadway, which I think killed about 5 actors playing Spider-Man. But you know, that's a sacrifice you make for art.
If it's the person doing Titus, what do you expect?
Yeah,
man, fucking Titus. The first time I saw Titus. It was me and a bunch of other teenage boys getting high together, like partying at my friend's house. Like, yeah, let's watch Titus. It really had the energy of that Simpsons joke, Bart and Fig. And we all just got way too high and watched Titus. And it was just like, man, we shouldn't have done this at all.
If you ever wanted a scene where an unhinged Anthony Hopkins in a chef hat feeds children to their mother, that is the movie that you want to see. Titus. It is on another level.
Get
Alan Cumming
high.
is fantastic in that movie.
Titus is fucking great. Oh, man. Now I'm just excited for this hypothetical movie.
Like I said, like, imagine her directing Jenna Ortega in that.
God.
That would be way more interesting than this Baz Luhrmann thing, which, again, I can see why they would do that, but you could have done something more interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. But good news for all Baz heads out there. All right. Well, that's it for news. Let's thank some more producers. Big old sloppy thank you to Norm from Cheers. Thank you. Woo. Thank you to Numino Ultramicroscopic Silico Volcano Coniosis and Disestablishmentarianism Jones. Thank you. Thank you to pre-order Jason Parch's new book so he can keep making big feats. Thank you.
Great podcast.
Thank you to Psychic Bigfoot.
Thank
you to Rev MD.
Thank you.
Thank you to Ricky Cilantro. Thank you to Rosemary's Baby from Eraserhead.
Thank you.
Thank you to Screaming Horse Pyramid.
That is terrifying.
Thank you to Steven. Thank you to the conveniently placed self-destruct button on the top of every baby's head. Thank you to the Midnight Patron. The Midnight Spookum. What spookums at midnight. Thank you.
Oh, switched it up.
Spooky.
Let me hop in. Thank you to the municipal medicinal arsonist.
Thank you.
Thank you to the oatmeal savage.
Thank you.
Thank you to the Tubi Terror Bunny thinks you could use more Rutger Hauer in your media diet.
Yes.
I agree. Thank you to these 7 Bs.
Thank you.
Thank you to Tiger Draws Pratt Thompson, parentheses, sings, close parentheses, raindrops keep falling on my head.
Thank you.
Thank you to Tip Drizzle.
Thank you.
Thank you to Tom's Baby. I don't know if he's specifically talking about Tom Ryman or anybody named Tom with a baby. I think all Tom babies deserve that. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you to Tux. Thank you to Vincent.
Thank you.
And thank you to Yorgos from the Isle of Crete.
Thank you.
And thank you to your mom.
Thank you. You accidentally did a reference to the band Boris the Sprinkler with the Tiger Draws Pat Thompson. That is a reference for nobody but me.
So, Dave, it's actually kind of funny that I bumped into you here because you're never going to believe what time it is.
Oh, is it time? It's time for Tom and Jeff Watch Batman?
No, you unbelievable fool. It is time for another edition of Movies That Deserve More Hype.
Whoop, whoop.
You fool. You lost the track of the thing. Oh my gosh. I can't believe.
All right. So what could I possibly, after seeing Night Silence, go like, oh, I got to bump that for this other movie? What could that possibly be?
I was so excited when I saw the first 2 words of this paragraph.
I know. This is a movie called Mr. K. Watch the trailer. It's coming out January 2025. It stars Crispin Glover as a traveling magician.
I think we need to pause right there. Let's just let that sink in.
Yeah.
Full disclosure, Dave and I both have backgrounds with doing some types of magic. I think you were
Hell
more
yeah!
Because I did card stuff. I think you were more like general tricks and things. Right?
Yeah. I was just exploring.
Yeah.
The
just
medium.
the words Crispin Glover and magician. I just like, oh yeah, that makes
perfect
this could
sense.
Be How did we get to him being in his 60s and not have done this earlier?
Like I don't have to say anything else. Crispin Glover as a traveling musician. What's a magician? What's amazing is that that's not even the weird part of this movie or the main part. The premise is he goes to a hotel and there's all these people there, and he slowly, as he's talking to them, everybody seems to reveal that they've never left the hotel, that they live there.
Someone made a movie where their choice was, I'm going to have Crispin Glover as a magician, and surprise, he's not the weird one.
No.
Fantastic idea.
Yeah, he's
Brilliant.
the one reacting. And then he tries to leave the hotel and simply can't find the exit. And then it's like dream logic, right? And then the hotel starts getting smaller around him slowly, and no one else seems to care. And it seems to be it seems to be organic in nature. The hotel might be alive. Like kind of like The Shining, but like juicier. And that's really all I know. The reviews, which talk about it, like this one says, to say more of the plot would spoil some of the goopy and clever twists this film takes. So it's like, okay, I guess say no more. Clearly this movie is going to be fucking weird. It's also, one of the reviews went out of its way to say it's not a mystery box, meaning that like, the point isn't like, is it aliens? What is this hotel? It's more just sort of about, like they say, the movie pokes the audience to guess at the hotel's true nature, but by the end, it seems clear that the hotel is a stand-in for life itself. So it's more about what it represents, as opposed to like what it is. It's not like, what is the Matrix? It's hard to classify from a lot of these reviews. It's compared to Naked Lunch.
A lot of reviews where they just say, this is the weirdest movie I've seen all year. There's a guest who's named Finolia Flanagan. That's what we're dealing with here. The director is a Norwegian filmmaker who just goes by the name Tallulah, and whose full name is Tallulah Heskamp Schwab.
Yeah.
This is just fun. I don't
it's like
know
a surreal,
how to describe this movie other than this is weird.
It's like, surreal Lynchian horror drama.
Yeah. This feels like
Dream Logic, like it's compared to Mother.
Or what were you saying?
Oh, the movie Mother, it was compared to, which that's a very Dream Logic movie.
Yes. It's like Mother mixed with, what's that Kid Cudi video for Pursuit of Happiness? The weird version, not the one with Drake. But there's a lot of like dream imagery in there. So yeah, this just looks weird. Having Crispin Glover as a straight man is a hilarious idea, considering what a like we started this with Robert Pattinson and we end with old Robert Pattinson in this.
Yeah.
So
Crispin Glover, he only does weird shit because he's a weirdo and I love him.
It's just, he gets let out of his cage once every 5 years to be on a mainstream movie that you may actually see. And this is the times.
Yeah.
So.
So yeah, Mr. K, look it up. I don't think there's any more to
legitimately
say.
surprised Crispin Glover made it out of the pandemic. I don't know how that happened. Like,
every day he remains as a miracle. You know, who knows what he's doing? He's just like Mr. Beaning around, just getting into adventures. Yeah.
Yeah, like I said,
think that's it.
Just watch this fucking trailer. That's it. Perfectly needs more hype. So I think that's it, right?
I think that's it. I think that's an episode. Logan, thank you so much for being on. At the end of all things, do you want to plug some more stuff?
Yeah, again, just want to plug WNBA with me and Adam Todd Brown. We're going to record a new ep next week, so that means we should have a new ep dropping there. It's available wherever you get podcasts, so please just check it out and have some fun with that. We're about to hit the WNBA playoffs, so we're going to be in a very interesting time for this season. And also want to jump and bounce back. So we made it through this entire episode without committing genocide. So try to go with that energy in your life. It's not that hard.
We get a sticker.
Don't do it. Yeah. You know,
don't do it.
Yeah, go get a Snickers or go learn close-up magic. Go do anything else with your free time other than committing genocide. It'd be fun.
It's a good message.
Also, and I say this on every podcast, please like and review this podcast and all of our friends' podcasts. It really helps with the algorithms. And even if you just like the YouTube video, that also helps. So,
thank you for saying that, because we never do. Yeah,
I always forget to do it on my own, and I remember to do it when I'm on other people's podcasts. It's funny.
Leave us a review wherever you get your podcasts, and check out our Patreon, patreon.com/gamefullyunemployed, or go to gamefullyunemployed.com for our merch store. We have a bunch of stuff.
Can't say enough how much of a value you get with the Patreon for this. Like, Tom and Jeff watch Batman, Fox Mulder is a Maniac, and all of the other weird things that you get, like Spiel Boys and Star Trek The Next Futurama. It's just, you're getting so much value. So yeah, check it out.
Packed to the gills with value. All right, say goodbye.
Bye.
Hey, listen, our music is produced by Chris Corlew. You can find him on twitter.com as The Corlew, or go to shipwreckedsailor.bandcamp.com. Our channel artwork is produced by Michael Vincent Bramley. For more of his work, go to mvbramley.art. Our episode artwork is by Justin Brown, available on Twitter as Justin T. Brown or at artnessbyjustinbrown.com. And finally, additional artwork is by Starlene Hodge. You can find her work at starlenearts.com or on Twitter as StarleneX. Cool. Goodbye.